What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Yeah, man. Once again, this is Pilgrims in the Earth. I'm doing this video from my YouTube channel. Um, I thought about doing it on Facebook, but honestly, man, I'm pretty kind of like exhausted with the whole topic, to be honest. And I kind of wrestled with even doing the video at all. Um, like I said in one of my last videos, I'm kind of done with the whole dropping a video every couple days on, trending topics and things like that. I've never been that type of person to want to do that. There's many things I do want to speak on, but it's so much going on in the world. It's like I believe for people to be like a YouTuber, you would have to be kind of congested with so much at one time, you know. And I found that very overwhelming, trying to keep up doing a video on this, a video on that. Even though I am that type of person, I can speak on it, but I just didn't want to get caught in that. So that's why I decided instead of me putting out so much fear, I more so wanted to focus on solutions because there's so many uh, churches, organizations, platforms where they're just pushing out fear, and it's like you can get addicted to that, to some point. So I want to push out solutions. When you look at my channel, you can see, me traveling from here to there, or me talking about what's going on in the world, but also I'm showing you, I'm walking with you to show you this is how I'm trying to escape. I'm in it with y'all. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I got the big coffee today, man. Y'all in trouble. But nah, man, I'm not. Um, this video is called "What Is Truth." Excuse me. What is truth? Because I often hear people say, "Oh, you're not in the truth no more," or that brother or that sister used to be in the truth. And of course, when people say the truth, the common perception of what truth is when people say the truth, I know a lot of people may not know, but of course, you have a big, a popular kind of awakening. What they say is it's an awakening, and it is biblical of people coming to their identity when it comes to the Bible. Our Hebrew heritage, or our Israelite or Hebrew Israelite heritage, according to the Bible. Of course, so many people have came into the knowledge of, black people or black people from the diaspora, specifically America. We come from that stock in the Bible of, Israelites, whether that be Judah, whatever, the 12 tribes of Israel. So a lot of people would say that's the truth, but yeah, this thing has spiraled into a big thing. It's worldwide. I mean, of course, I travel back and forth to Africa, so I've seen Israelites everywhere. You might see fringes in the airport. You might see fringes at the mall. You might see fringes at the doctor's office. You know what I'm saying? At this point, but yeah, man, all praises to the Most High. This word has spread it, and I think so many people they get that knowledge and they kind of stay there. They get stuck there. So I wanted to get into what is truth and also kind of bring y'all into my testimony on because there's this big topic of GOCC um, and what's going on with the elders there or the leaders of that church. And I'm not trying to do a smear campaign, but one thing for sure, this is what I wrestled with. I say, man, I got so much to say because I see so many people saying, "Oh, they attacking the elder," or this man saying this because of they don't like the elders or they got a spirit on them. And people have to start doing their own research outside of those walls where they're telling you, "Hey, those people, don't listen to them." You have to be very careful when it comes to that because a lot of us, mostly all of us, were exactly like you. A lot of us was defending those elders just like you are, you know. And everybody's motive is not to tear the church down or get you to come join us, you know. We're not in some place huddled up saying, "Hey, we got to get the rest of the members," or you know, we not trying to create an underground railroad for you to come with us. Excuse my, I'm gonna keep doing that. So excuse that. You know, I gotta get. I should have got some tea, but yeah, man, what is the truth? You know what I'm saying? Let's get, and I'm not gonna get too scripture with it, but we gonna go to, of course, Saint John chapter 14. Saint John chapter 14, and yeah, Saint John chapter 14, and we gonna start at 6. So it says, Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So Christ is the truth. When people say I'm in the truth or they not in the truth, when they say that, 9 times out of 10, they're referring to their organization, their church. You know, sometimes they can be referring to the doctrine that they kind of believe in. So let's say, for example, right, if I go and I join a church, let's say isupk, I don't think they even like to be referred to as a church or a camp or whatever. Or if I join gocc, let's say if I get baptized there, I'm frequenting there, maybe 1 or 2 years. You know, now everybody knows me as a GOCC member. When I say, you know what, I don't want to be a GOCC member anymore. I want to leave and I don't want to be affiliated anymore. So now people will look at me and say, hey, that brother is not in the truth anymore. But according to the scripture, Christ is the truth. He is the way, the light. No man cometh to the Father but through him. And I had to read this because I've heard brothers say, oh, Elder Ricard, he is the plug to get out of here, or Elder Ricard, he's the way to the Father. It doesn't, that's not how that works, man. That's not how that works. You don't see Elder Ricard here, or you don't see Bishop, or none of these men here. There's only one, Christ, to the Father. And I'm gonna get into, matter of fact, let's go to, since we in John, let's go to chapter 10, right? It said, verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. So many of them will read that and say, oh, if you try to come some other way, alluding to the fact if you come another way but through to get to them, you're false. You know, what I'm starting to realize, man, um, a lot of these organizations, they're in cahoots with each other because they all kind of push the same narrative. You have to, we are the truth. We got the truth. You can't find the truth outside of this organization. I had talked to a brother, man. He was from I ain't gonna put him out because he told me some kind of disclosed information. So I ain't gonna disclose where he's from, but he was a part of that church, GOCC. And he told me, I'm not gonna say I know exactly it's true or not, but it isn't far fetched. Hold on, it isn't far fetched at all. Because I know through my experiences. And I'm gonna get through that in a minute. Because I thought about even exposing my experiences. You know, I've said things in the past, but I didn't feel too good about it because I was very close with the elder there. You know what I'm saying? I was very close. Um, Not saying we was best friends, but we definitely started to build a relationship. And I'm gonna tell you why I do feel more comfortable with talking about it now. Um, and I'm gonna get back to this John chapter 10, but don't lose me. So the reason I say I didn't feel too comfortable about it at first because I'm not the type person that want to expose things. And I think that's a cultural thing. For example, we protect bad behavior sometimes in our culture. For example, you might have a drug, or what they call a trap house. What people, a drug house where people sell drugs on your neighborhood corner, right? Everybody knows that they pushing drugs out of this neighborhood. You know, they make their money. They're not giving money to the community, but there's a certain protection over them. And nobody says nothing. They know it's wrong, they know it's bad, but nobody says nothing. Because every now and again, they might throw a little cookout or something. They might throw a little barbecue, you know. They might throw a little barbecue or throw your grandma a little 10, $20 bill. Hold on, sorry about that. Yeah, they might throw your grandma a little bill every now and again. A little hush hush money, right? But yeah, there's a protection in black culture of bad behavior in these big organizations. When you start to learn about the Masons, the Boule, a lot of these Masonic orders are in our communities. In fact, I've been in Africa where I can see Masons. I've seen videos with Masons counting money. Hey, come join us. These people have been set up in our communities to keep us divided. So let's say, for example, right, if it's four people, me, you, well, me and three other brothers, right? Let's say we came into this understanding of Hebrew Israel. We the Israelites from the original Western One West group. You know what I'm saying, that they started. I think what was it, the '60s or whatever. But we all branch off into our own organizations and we all come up. We all know each other, but to the public, we might throw shots at each other. We say, hey, we don't deal with that camp. IUIC, we don't deal with GOCC. GOCC don't deal with isupk or so forth, whatever. Those are like the four main ones. But we don't associate with each other. But the leaders of these camps or churches or organizations know each other. So if we're talking about the Bible and we're talking about nation building, you know, and we're talking about uniting black people, it always behooved me like, why don't you just call that brother up and say, you know what, hey, we might not believe in the same things as far as and it don't be like extreme stuff like oh, you believe you can lay with my wife or you can't. It's not stuff like that. So if we kind of have some of the same core beliefs, which is Christ, the Ten Commandments, all that, why can't you hit this church? You know how the Christian churches do. Let's say pastor, he might go teach at another pastor church. Pentecostal might go to the Baptist church. You know what I'm saying? They kind of connect like that because you got 100 churches on, a 3 mile radius. But I always wonder if these guys know each other so personally as far as the history, why? Because when you look at, and the reason I say that, because when you look at the members, it's like gang culture. I done talked to brothers like, oh, what camp you frequent with, or who you with? Oh, I'm with ISUBK. Okay, I'll be like, oh, I'm with GOCC, and I'm telling you, they go from being excited to seeing me to, oh, oh yeah, okay. So now automatically they're already identifying me or associating me with Ricard. So that we're in a full blown debate. You know what I'm saying? Because of my affiliation with this organization. So I had to think over the years. I said, something is, because this is the biggest weapon that the enemy used against us as black people, specifically black Americans. The division, our division, man. I'm telling you, because if you have unification, what do you have? People usually want to use resources. Black people don't have a resource problem. We have a division problem. If we all put our money together, we wouldn't have to think about reparations. We wouldn't think about it. You would take your tax returns, or you would take your monthly, and we would put it together, and we can be free tomorrow. But the problem is, the government is paying a lot of these influential leaders from our communities to keep us divided. And they control every aspect of it, from the Christian church to the Islam mosques, to the Hebrew Israelite organizations, and I don't think a lot of people can get that through their head because they think, um, and I think I'm gonna be honest. I think at one point in time, a lot of these brothers had uh, they had good intentions. So a lot of the information, yeah, you take it, you take the meat, you eat the meat, you spit out the bones. But a lot of that, man, you have to really examine. And this is another thing I will say. If I'm standing on the corner, right, and if I give you a $20 bill when you needed it, does that mean that I'm a good man to follow? Does that mean I'm a good man to follow? Would you follow me after I gave you that $20 and you might see me, you might see me doing something I'm not supposed to do? Would you do that same thing? Or does that $20 me given to you, does that make me a righteous example? Because I use that example because I find so many times we run into teachers, right? We run into teachers. There are great teachers. There's great debaters. There's great, different people have their different talents. Everybody is not a leader over your life, man. And I'm gonna speak to the man specifically in this, right? You should be the man or a leader over your household. And I'm gonna get into that too. You should be the leader over your household. Because a lot of these men, they will creep in your house and they'll try to do this to your wife. And if your wife is looking up to this man who have this knowledge beyond all of us, right? She by default, naturally, she will look up to him and look down on you. Just naturally. And that's why, infidelity, adultery is so heavy in churches. Not just, Israelite, but Christian church, whatever. But anyway, man, I just wanted to put that out there. There's a protection over dysfunction in our community. So if somebody say, "Hey, I'm going to tell my experience what happened within this church or organization," a lot of people say, "No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You got to go to that person." Well, guess what? In my specific situation, I've went to people, right, with my problems, right? And I'm not doing this to say, "Hey, I got to get my story heard." But what I'm doing this because a lot of people are bound in chains, man. They're bound in change in a lot of these organizations. They feel like there's nowhere to go. And I want to kind of give them a little bit of inspiration or encouragement. When you see something that's obviously there's no getting around it, and you're not supposed to be there, you have to leave, man. You have to leave. It's the right thing to do. And I understand in your mind, you only see camps, churches, or it's either this or we got to go to isupk, or we got to go here, or it's back to the Christian. It don't work like that. That's not the way Christ works. Christ, the Most High, don't even dwell in temples no more. We are the body of Christ. So if I want to build with you and I say, "Hey, let's create some schools for the children to learn, or let's create a hospital for us to heal, or let's create a community for all those things," you'll look at me and say, "Oh, you're not with gocc. I can't build with you." That's division. That's not scriptural, man. It's not. But anyway, let me get back to here. Chapter 10. Yea, say, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep." And that leads to, I think, Matthew 13, talking about the sower, the seed sowers. A lot of people don't go through that door ever. They think they went through that door, but what they did, they found something that was very catchy, like, "Oh, I'm a what?" Because psychologically in America, when we learn that we're something special, we're something chosen, it feels good, man. It feels great. And and I get it because as a young black man, growing up, you're damn near taught that you ain't, SHIT, sugar honey iced tea to anybody. You hear it from our women, or you hear it from the police or whatever. So when you find this hidden understanding that we're the Israelites, it's like, man, this is the truth. This is what the Most High. And don't get me wrong. Yes, that's an identifier that the Most High is waking His people up according to who we are. But there's a higher knowledge that you have to understand. There's a door that's going to lead you to a higher truth because there has to be an inner work that has to be done. Just because you learn who you are, it doesn't transform you to what you're supposed to be. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of people, we kind of cleave to the culture, but we don't cleave to the transformation that Christ was kind of showing us how to walk in, if that makes sense. But yeah, so but he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calleth his own sheep by name and leadeth them out. So a lot of times people get it confused when they see people leave a church or leave an organization. It's because sometimes we seen something that wasn't right. And everybody, it's like you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. If you expose an organization for what you saw, you seen something that wasn't right, and you say, "Hey, y'all, it's not right there. This is what I saw." Oh, you're trying to destroy the church, or you trying to get a church for yourself, or you trying to scatter the flock, or whatever. If you don't say nothing, then on the other side, okay, why would you? It's like you're it's bad. It's like you're trying to hold. You're letting people. You've seen something there, and you watching these people um, falsely be up under something that's not good for them. So either way, it's bad. So yeah. So Christ know who His sheep is, right? Because you have to understand, what does it say in Matthew 24? Many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, but shall deceive many. A lot of people take that as a literal man saying, hey, my name, I'm the Christ, which there are people that do that. But I think that scripture is a lot more deep, man. A lot more deep, because there are wolves in sheep clothing. It you really have to have some discernment, man. And a lot of people don't have discernment, because you wouldn't be up under, if you claim to be a follower of Christ, a follower of the Most High, a follower of this Bible, you will see certain things and your spirit will tell you no, just something that ain't right, no, or something that don't add up, especially the people that are in these places that can see with their own eyes, that are familiar with the activity, right? So, and a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. So we hear certain stuff. For example, uh, when they start talking, because monetary gain is big where we're from, right? You got to understand, black people, we love hearing a smooth message, right? The white man, the white this, that, so we gonna pay for that, right? We gonna pay for that. Um, Stranger will not follow. Yeah, so our biggest thing is tithes and offerings in a lot of these churches. Oh, y'all ain't paying tithes up in here? So these people will talk about the Christian church, how the pastors like Creflo Dollar use the black community and for their own gain, their own monetary gain. But then they'll turn around and see, wow, this is a big market. You see this check? Money changes people. Money will change you. Some people might say, nah, man, I wouldn't do that. Bro, you don't know. You don't know until you get it. Me, I've never had a whole lot of money. But one thing I know, certain activities you begin to gauge in, it will start you'll start allowing another spirit up in you. For example, a big one, lust, coveting. All these spirits will come into you. Why do you think the scriptures tell you, why do you think when a man said he went to Christ, he said, I've kept all these, basically I'm paraphrasing, so don't judge me. basically, how do you get into the kingdom of heaven? So he said, you got to keep the, he read off the commandments to him. He said, I kept these since I've been, since I was brought up. So he seen the man was holding on to all his worldly possessions. So what did he say? Sell everything you got and follow me. He couldn't do it. He had great possessions. Now, to a wise man who understand that this world is temporary. Your car, your clothes, your money in your bank account is temporary. They can press a button, boop, all that is gone. They can freeze your account. That money will if your house set on fire, the physical cash will be burned. If you was on watch for the from the feds, they can take your money. So a wise man will understand, hey, this money is nothing. Let me go follow Christ. Christ has the key to everlasting life. But there's a certain spirit that comes with money, security. You think you're secure, protection. Uh, people start looking up to you. Wow, this is a great man. You start dressing nice. You start smelling. You got the best cologne on. You might put on a chain or something. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have never had the glory before they start coming into a lot of these positions, I might say. Let's say if you take a guy who's never been a popular guy in high school or a popular guy in college, and he comes with this nice slick way with the word. He might have good intentions at first. So now everybody telling you, man, you broke that down. Man, you the one, brother. You broke it down. I know the Most High is with you. Put that aside. Now you got the women. The women. that's power, man. Money, power, respect. Key to life. You know what I'm saying? So now you got power. I'm gonna tell you how you see you got power now. You got other brothers' wives telling you. Not it ain't gotta be nobody wife, but just multiple women. Elder, bishop, this, whatever. You broke that down so well, brother. You are the one. I'm talking about the gifts. They giving you money. They giving people paint your face. Oh yeah, here, this for you. I bought this for you. And you like, oh my God, you just getting showered. Man, that's an ego trip, man. That's lifting your ego up. So before you even know it, you sitting on the top of this. You sitting up here. You sitting up here. Let's say over the years you're hearing this. You're the best. Oh, you're the truth. This is the truth. Thank you. Oh, yeah. You hearing this every single day. Even the people that you're around, the people that work for you, because now you didn't establish yourself as an organization. So now you pay taxes. Or if you 501c3, of course you don't, but you became a business at this point. you know, you're doing charities and all these things. So over the years, you establish yourself as a quite a big business. So let's say one little guy, I ain't gonna say one little guy, but let's say somebody challenges your position or challenges, they see something in your church that they think is not right. So there's this level of pride. It's like who I didn't built this from the ground up. Who are you to come tell me something, right? People have to understand there's a lot of pride that come with all those possessions. Cause you looking like, well, who is this Johnny come lately? So a lot of times you need to really listen to people when they're going through these kind of engagements. For example, I'm gonna be straight up in this video because it's no way around it. You know what I'm saying? Let's say for shout out to Brother Bronze, man, and his wife. Uh, I've never personally met Bronze. I did see him at Passovers, but from what I've seen, he's a very very humble brother. And from people that I know that personally met him, I know people personally who met him. Very humble person. So I'm gonna use this as an example. A lot of times, what I know with Ricard, he doesn't even be like. It doesn't seem like he even knows the situation before he speaks on it. Actually, I was trying to find this video recently. there was a video, and I don't know if them brothers want me to blow them up, but basically it was some brothers that left with him to Egypt. And I'm talking about he spoke on these brothers. Putting Let's put Bronze to the side for a minute. So he spoke on these brothers that went to Egypt with him, because he told everybody, "Oh, we need to go to Egypt." Everybody, a lot of families follow him to Egypt. So they got into something over there. They went back to the states and basically told everybody, "We're not associated with that church over there in Egypt. They need to come back here." Man, these brothers did a whole video. I'm talking about the video got like 10,000 views. Because this was my point where I was like, okay, something ain't right with bro. Because they have him on the call lying. They have his voice lying, man. Um, he'll say one thing to one person and then go behind that and say another thing to another person. And these are the games that's being played in these churches. And I know I'm all over the place. But the reason why I say that, um, and the reason I brought up Brother Bronze was because of the simple fact, you know, I think a lot of these leaders, for example, Ricard, have got on his high horse. So when somebody say, "Oh, Bronze is leaving," because they're only getting information from other people. Sometimes they're not directly saying, "Oh, well, let me hit him up before I get on this camera and get to talking about him." So they're already like, "Oh, hold on, nigga, try to come for me in my church. Everything I built here. Okay, press play. We about to go live." That's how it works. I guarantee you that's how it works. If a lot of us would, instead of getting offended, but actually hit one another up and talk about it and go through the actual steps that Christ said go through with your brother, a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen. But this is how you know a lot of these people are hirelings. They have an agenda. They have an agenda, man. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get right into it. Of course, I was a part of the GOCC Detroit body, very popular one under Elder Dale. Of course, like any other young man, any other person that came into the truth of who they are. I seen Elder Ricard online teaching, and I was into, I tell people all the time, I was into my conspiracy bag back then. I was into Illuminati, 9/11, all that stuff. Alex Jones, I was into all of that. So when I finally heard, but I always wanted to understand the Bible, but I couldn't really connect with the church like that. Um, so I had a zeal. I had a zeal for God. I just didn't understand it when it came to the scriptures. So when I found the videos online, I was like, wow, I just couldn't stop listening to it because he had a level of truth and a way of relaying that truth that really stood with me, or resonated with me. So I reached out to the church at the time. I had my son Quran. He was a baby. He was a baby. Matter of fact, he was pregnant. I mean, my wife was pregnant with him when I first started listening, and he's about to be 10 in August, so he's 9. So that lets you know this has been a while ago. But I've not affiliated with that church anymore. It's been 5 years since I actually left that church. Probably a little bit more, but no, it's been about 5 years. But anyway, so yeah, this was around like 2016 where I started going to this church. Uh, yeah, when I went there, um, I was very excited. Very excited. You like anybody else. You glad to be there. You glad to see other people that's kind of like you. We want to find the truth. You believe that these people are relaying a message sent from God, the Most High God. That's beyond us. So you're holding them to a higher expectation. You're looking at them like, oh wow. So for so long, that's how I was looking at brothers. Anything they asked me to do, sweep the floor or stand right here by the door or do this, do that, do that, do that. So I can understand a lot of people when they say, "Oh, I've been there for years." And people are like, "Well, why would you be there that long and you seen something?" You don't understand. That's why, because you're looking at these people as messengers of God, and they sent these, and the Most High have sent these people to deliver this message, and and for you to be obedient to God, therefore, you're just building an organization, or you're bringing people to that organization. So I understand it. For the people that's in there now, I don't want to say y'all stupid, y'all dumb, y'all should have been left, because I understand it. You get what I'm saying? Everybody don't have the willpower, and everybody hasn't been exposed to everything that I have been exposed to. So I get it. I get it. But yeah, man, I've put a lot of work into that. Into that, I'm talking about going to pick people up for classes. On the other side of town, to go get somebody else on the other side of town, to bring them to the class every Friday. And I'm talking about doing that for years. Or if the elder, hey, I need you to go over here to do this, I'm doing that. I'm burning gas, going everywhere, trying to do what I'm talking about everything, man. Past giving out flyers, telling people about the church, and oh, come to the church, man, street preaching, whatever it was, man. That's what I did. I was a part of that organization for almost 5 years, man. And yeah, man, it was a lovely experience because you had some beautiful people there, man. And I honestly believe that the love, the power of the Most High is within the people. A lot of times we think it's in the leadership, but it's in the people. It's not the buildings, it's not those walls in those buildings. It's the actual people. When you receive the love, it's from the people. Because a lot of us, man, we come from broken families. A lot of y'all don't even, gather with your family no more. You don't have cookouts no more. So that was a big part of that church that I was like, man, this is that missing void of my life. You know what I'm saying? You had a cookouts and all that. So I started to build a good rapport with the elder, right? I started to build a great rapport with the elder to the point where, we talking every day. He see that I'm committed. He see that I'm a loyal person. Anything that needs to be done, I'm volunteering to get it done. I even joined the security team over there. I remember he even pulled me to the side one day because I noticed he's a very observant person. He pulled me to the side. He pulled me into a room. Actually, he was like, man, are you happy here? And I'm like, yeah, what you mean? He was like, cuz I just want to make sure that you happy. You know what I'm saying? That you satisfied. And I was like, I thought that was very weird that he asked me that. But anyway, um, yeah, he asked me, was I happy? And I started to notice after that, he will offer me certain things. Like, for example, you have a reader, you have a teacher, you have, usually like three people that's on the stage that will kind of go through these Sabbath lessons where they would break down the Bible, and we would go from Sabbath, which is Saturday in the Bible. But a lot of people have different understandings as far as that moon Sabbath or whatever. But as far as this organization, we will link up every Friday night. So the people will come there more so for the fellowship and the lesson. Some people might have a choir there, they might sing. It kind of reminds you of like your traditional church, your Christian church. You'll go there, you get some singing in, people hugging each other. Hey, how was your week? And then you get into the actual lesson where they will open the Bible and they will bring out some understanding that will give people kind of spiritual encouragement to kind of go from week to week. If I'm, break that down the best way I could, that's what we would do. So one day he asked me like, hey, you want to read? Because you have a reader up there. And I was like, yeah, I read. What you mean? Yeah. So I thought about it though. I was like, you know what? I would read. I'm a good reader, I might say. But how about you get my boy over here? He's a better reader. Or my other guy over here, he's a better reader. So I say that to say this. I've never been the type of guy that wanted the recognition or wanted to, you know, be over people. I never wanted to be that type of person. Even at jobs, right? So many bosses have offered me like, hey, I'm gonna give you this opportunity, you can get a raise, all only thing I would want you to do is you gotta be here a little longer, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And I would be like, no, I'm straight. Or let me think about it. And I come back to it, no, I'm straight. And I'm gonna tell you why. Anything that I'm devoted to or put my time, effort into, I have to really be into it. If it's not involved with my purpose, I don't want to be involved with it because it's gonna suck me in. So, um, yeah, you would ask me, and I think me kind of turning down things like that, I think that even gave him a more higher respect for me because a lot of people that was coming into those situations or new to those churches, they want to, oh, can I, how can I do this, how can I get on this, they're looking for that. So me, I think he kind of seen like, dang, this different. He don't want to, he just want to be, a servant basically, and that's all I am, man. I like to serve people, and I don't want to be recognized for it, you know. And I know everybody probably say that, but I really, I'm really like that. But so I think he had a level of respect for me then. So then we started to get a better relationship. So I started to realize certain things. Um, he got a lot more comfortable with me, with kind of, letting me know what was going on and things like that. And of course, in this church, you had of course, when we always talk about Revelation 18, we talk about Jeremiah 50, 51. Flee Babylon, come out of her, basically come out of America. We're going to eventually have to leave America because it's going to fall. It's going to be destroyed according to the Bible. And that's the original, you know, that's not the whole church understanding. Hey, come on, we flee Babylon. No, it's not that. But that's one of their main messages to the people. We have to flee Babylon. So that's why a lot of people know of GLCC. So that was always a main thing for me because I've always understood what America was. And the Most High have always revealed to me in my life that America wasn't a place for me, especially when I started having my own family. I've always wanted to go somewhere else for a better life for them. And I always wanted to get my own land and build. So I was always about that. But I would recognize certain things, right? For example, I remember calling, and this was one of my this is my earlier days, right? When I first got into the organization, I used to have a lot of drinking problems. If you know my channel, I haven't been shy about that. All praise to the Most High. It's gonna be almost 2 years that I haven't dealt with that in some months. But